Welcome back to the pack, my lovely listeners, and a huge warm welcome to everyone joining us for the first time here at Lena's Romagecy Collection. You are in for a wild ride today. Picture this. It is Monday morning. Your boss is a billionaire tyrant with a temper that makes grown men cry. He demands his usual triple shot espresso. You decide to save his sanity and serve him decaf. Big mistake. Huge. In today's story, our brave assistant Jess thinks she's helping, but one sip sends the alpha king over the edge. He doesn't just smash the mug against the wall, he corners her right in front of the entire board of directors, eyes glowing gold, to deliver a confession that will absolutely melt your headphones. I don't need the caffeine to keep my blood hot. I only crave you. If that gave you shivers, do me a huge favor and smash that like button. Maybe not as hard as Noah smashed that mug, but give it a good tap. Make sure you are subscribed and have that notification bell turned on so you never miss a single chapter of this chaotic, steamy romance. And I want to know where my wolf pack is hiding today. Drop a flag or let me know in the comment section below. Where in the world are you listening from? Let's see how global our pack really is. Chapter 1. The elevator doors pinged open on the 50th floor of Michelson Enterprises, and the atmosphere hit me instantly. It didn't smell like ozone or expensive carpet cleaner today. It smelled like fear. He's in a mood. Lola, the marketing coordinator and my office survival buddy, whispered as she hurried past me, clutching a stack of files and feigning terror. Code red. Or maybe code black. Definitely a code run for your life. He's always in a mood, Lola, I sighed, adjusting my glasses and marching toward the executive suite. It's Monday. Noah Michelson hates Mondays. He also hates Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and sunshine in general. No, Jess, listen. Lola grabbed my arm, her acrylic nails digging into my blazer. He growled at the courier, like a literal animalistic growl because the guy breathed too loudly. I put $50 in the office betting pool that he fires someone before lunch. He's not going to fire anyone, I said, though my confidence was purely performative. He's just sleep-deprived. Again. I walked to my desk, which guarded the massive double doors of the CEO's office like a gatehouse. My phone was already blinking with 3 urgent lines. My inbox had 42 unread emails. I sat down, took a deep breath, and looked at the calendar. Board meeting, 10 a.m., merger acquisition. Great, I muttered. A room full of old men in suits and a CEO who hasn't slept since the Carter administration. I picked up the internal line. Mr. Michelson, I have the Q3 projections ready for your review. Silence. Then a low, rough voice that sounded like gravel grinding against velvet came through the speaker. Bring me coffee, Jessica. Black, hot. And if I see a single granule of sugar, I'm throwing it out the window. Good morning to you too, sir, I replied sweetly. Now. The line clicked dead. I stared at the phone. Noah Michelson was a tyrant. He was demanding, obsessive, micromanaging, and terrifyingly brilliant. He was also, unfortunately, the most attractive man I had ever seen in real life. He stood 6'4", built like a linebacker in a bespoke Italian suit, with eyes so dark they looked like midnight, and a jawline that could cut glass. But his temper was getting worse. For the last month, he'd been vibrating with this weird, intense energy. He paced his office like a caged tiger. He stared at me when he thought I wasn't looking with a hunger that made my knees weak and my survival instincts flare. And the caffeine wasn't helping. He was drinking 5 triple-shot espressos a morning. It was making him jittery, aggressive, and impossible to manage. I walked to the break room. The high-end espresso machine gleamed under the fluorescent lights. Okay, Noah, for the sake of the company and for the sake of my sanity, we are making an executive decision. I reached past the dark roast bag. I reached past the turbocharge bag. My hand landed on the bag tucked in the back, the one covered with dust because no one in this high-stress office ever touched it. Decaf, mild roast. It's for your own good, I justified, pouring the beans into the grinder. You need to calm down. You need to lower your heart rate before you have a stroke, and I'm out of a job, and Leo gets kicked out of school. I brewed the coffee. It smelled convincing. It was hot, it was black, and it contained absolutely 0 mood-altering stimulants. I placed the mug on a saucer. I took a deep breath. I was about to lie to the scariest man in New York City, but looking at the text message I just received from my brother Leo, tuition deadline is tomorrow, Jess, sorry. I knew I had to keep Noah calm enough to sign my paycheck. Bottoms up, boss, I whispered, and headed for the lion's den. Chapter 2. The boardroom was freezing. I was convinced Noah kept the thermostat at morgue settings just to keep the board members awake. 12 men in gray suits sat around the long mahogany table, looking nervous. At the head of the table sat Noah. He wasn't sitting, actually. He was leaning back in his leather chair, tapping a pen against the wood with a rhythmic, menacing thud, thud, thud. Despite the exhaustion bruising the skin under his eyes and his loosened tie exposing the hollow of his throat, he still resembled a predator waiting for an excuse to strike. "Gentlemen," Noah's voice rumbled, filling the room without effort. "These projections are optimistic. I don't pay you for optimism. I pay you for accuracy." "Mr. Michelson," the CFO, Mr. Henderson, stammered, "the market volatility suggests—" "The market is a sheep," Noah cut him off, his eyes flashing with a strange amber light. "I am the wolf. We do not follow the market. We lead it." I slipped into the room, holding the tray. "Quiet as a mouse, Jess. Drop the coffee and run." Noah stopped talking the second I entered. His head snapped toward me. His nostrils flared, inhaling deeply. It was something he did lately, smelling the air whenever I walked in. It was weirdly intimate, and it always made a shiver race down my spine. "Coffee," he stated, extending a large hand without looking away from me. "Your usual, sir," I lied, my voice steady. "Triple shot, black." I placed the mug in his hand. Our fingers brushed. A static shock, stronger than usual, zipped between us. Noah flinched, his eyes locking onto mine. For a second, the boardroom disappeared. It was just me and him, and the overwhelming weight of his gaze. He looked desperate, hungry. "You smell tired," he murmured, low enough that only I could hear. "I'm fine, sir, just working late." "I told you not to work late," he growled, bringing the mug to his lips. "I told you to go home to your brother." "And who would organize your schedule if I went home, Noah?" I challenged softly. He paused, the mug inches from his mouth. A ghost of a smirk touched his lips. "Touché, Jessica." The board members watched the exchange with bated breath. They were terrified of him, but they were baffled by us. To them, I was just the assistant. To Noah, I was the only person allowed to talk back to him without getting shredded. He took a sip. Time seemed to slow. I watched his throat work as he swallowed the hot liquid. I waited for him to relax, praying for the placebo effect to kick in so he would stop looking like he wanted to murder the CFO. Instead, he froze. The mug stopped halfway down to the table. He didn't move. He just sat there, staring at the black liquid in the ceramic cup. The silence in the room stretched, becoming thick and suffocating. Then, Noah slowly turned his head to look at me. His eyes had changed. They weren't just dark anymore. The irises were flooding with a bright, terrifying gold. The pupils were blown wide. He sniffed the coffee. Then he sniffed the air. "Jessica," he said, his voice dropping to a subsonic vibration that rattled the water glasses on the table. "Yes, sir?" I squeaked, clutching my tray. "What is this?" "It's coffee, sir." "No." He stood up slowly, towering over the table. The sheer size of him seemed to double. "It is warm water with a coffee flavor. It is a lie." "I thought—" "You thought?" He took a step toward me, my back hitting the whiteboard. "You thought you would trick me? You thought you would drug me with nothing? You've been stressed, Noah. You're vibrating. I thought decaf would help you sleep." The board members gasped. Mr. Henderson looked like he was about to dive under the table. Noah didn't care about them. His focus was entirely on me. He looked furious, betrayed, and underneath it all, utterly wild. "You denied me," he whispered, stepping closer, invading my personal space until his heat engulfed me. "I need the stimulant, Jessica. I need it to keep the edge off. Do you know what happens when the edge comes off?" "You get grumpy?" I suggested weakly. Noah laughed. It wasn't a nice laugh. It was a dark, jagged sound. He raised the mug. I don't get grumpy. And then he threw the mug. Chapter 3. The mug didn't just break, it exploded. Noah hurled it past my head. It smashed against the whiteboard inches from my ear, showering the quarterly projections in ceramic shards and hot decaf coffee. Crash. The sound was deafening in the silent room. I flinched, squeezing my eyes shut, waiting for the yelling, waiting for the "you're fired." But silence followed, a heavy, panting silence. Noah stood right in front of me, boxing me in with his hands planted on the whiteboard on either side of my head. He leaned down, face inches from mine, his chest heaving against his white dress shirt as he breathed hard. He ignored the broken mug. His gaze was fixed entirely on my mouth. "You think coffee is what keeps me awake?" he rasped. The sound was rough, like tectonic plates grinding together. "You drink 5 cups a morning," I whispered, my heart hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. "I thought you were addicted." "I am," he growled. He lowered his head, his nose brushing against my jawline. He inhaled deeply, a long, shuddering breath that made his entire massive frame tremble. "I am, but not to the bean, Jessica." "Then what?" I challenged, my voice shaking but my chin high. "What is wrong with you, Noah? Why are you acting like this?" He pulled back slightly to look me in the eyes. His gaze was burning gold, fierce and terrifying and utterly consuming. "I don't need caffeine to keep my blood hot," he roared, the volume making me jump. "I don't crave the stimulant. I only crave you." The confession hung in the air, louder than the smash of the mug. The board members were frozen statues. Mr. Henderson had actually slid halfway under the table. I stared at Noah. My brain couldn't process it. He craved me? Me? I breathed. "Noah, I'm your assistant. I organize your dry cleaning." "You organize my life," he hissed, his hand coming up to cup my cheek. His thumb brushed over my lower lip, rough and calloused. "You are the only thing in this concrete prison that smells real. You are the only thing that quiets the noise in my head." He leaned closer, his lips hovering over mine. I tried to stay away. I tried to drown it in work and caffeine. But you had to provoke me. You had to test me. "It was just decaf," I whispered, mesmerized by the gold flecks in his eyes. It was a denial, and I am done being denied. For a second, a terrifying, electric second, I thought he was going to kiss me right there in front of the board of directors. I thought he was going to devour me, and God help me, I wanted him to. But then the door creaked. "Mr. Michelson?" Dante, the head of security, stood in the doorway. He looked from the shattered mug to the terrified board members to Noah hovering over me. Dante didn't look surprised. He looked resigned. "Sir," Dante said calmly, "your heart rate monitor triggered a level 4 alert. We need to decompress." Noah froze. The spell broke. He blinked, and the gold faded from his eyes, replaced by his usual obsidian black. He looked at me, really looked at me, at the fear in my eyes, at the coffee splattered on the wall next to my head. Horror washed over his face. He pulled his hands back as if he had been burned. "Jess," he whispered, his voice human again. "Did any of the shards hit you?" "No," I said, my voice trembling. "I'm fine." He stared at the broken mug, then down at his hands, which were shaking. "Meeting adjourned," Noah barked at the room without looking at them. "Get out." The 12 men in suits didn't need to be told twice. They scrambled for the door like rats fleeing a sinking ship, leaving their papers behind. Noah turned his back on me. He walked to the window and gripped the sill so hard I heard the wood groan. "Go back to your desk, Jessica," he said, his voice cold and distant. "Noah, wait." "Go," he roared. I turned and ran. Chapter 4. I made it to my desk before my legs gave out. I collapsed into my ergonomic chair, shaking so hard my teeth chattered. "I only crave you." The words echoed in my head on a loop. Noah Michelson, the billionaire ice king, just told me he craved me, and then he smashed a mug, and then he kicked out the board. What just happened? Lola hissed, popping up from behind her cubicle wall like a gopher. We saw the suits running for the elevator. Did he fire everyone? Did he kill Henderson? He smashed a mug, I whispered, staring at my hands. Classic Noah, Lola rolled her eyes. Did you tell him it was decaf? He knew. He tasted it and he knew instantly. Damn, man has a palate like a bloodhound. Lola leaned closer. But why are you shaking, Jess? He throws things all the time. He's never thrown anything at you. He didn't throw it at me, I defended him instinctively. He threw it near me. And then, Lola, he said things. What things? Personal things, intense things. Before I could elaborate, a shadow fell over my desk. Dante Vance stood there. He was impeccably dressed in a charcoal suit, but he looked like he could snap a neck with 2 fingers. He was holding a dustpan and a broom. Jess, Dante said, his voice gentle. Are you all right? I'm fine, Dante. Is he okay? Dante sighed, running a hand through his dark hair. He's stabilizing. The caffeine withdrawal combined with other stressors triggered an aggressive response. He's not on drugs, is he? I asked bluntly, because the way his eyes looked, Dante, they were glowing. Dante stiffened. It was the lighting, Jess. High blood pressure can cause pupil dilation. It looked like gold, I insisted. Stress, Dante said firmly. Look, Jess, Noah is unique. He operates at a higher frequency than most people. When he focuses on something, or someone, he becomes obsessive. It's not malice, it's instinct. Instinct? He protects what is his, and he feels very strongly that you belong to the company. Right, the company. My desk phone rang. The harsh brrr ring made us both jump. I looked at the caller ID, the boss. I looked at Dante. He gave me a sympathetic grimace. I picked up the receiver. Jessica speaking. Come in here. Noah's voice came through. It wasn't the roar from earlier. It was quiet, defeated. Sir, maybe we should give it a minute. Please, he said, and the crack in his voice broke my heart. Bring your laptop, and bring a new mug. I hung up. He wants me back in, I told Dante. Of course he does, Dante muttered, walking toward the break room to dump the shards. He can't breathe if you're too far away. I grabbed my notepad. I grabbed a spare mug, one that said, World's Okayest Employee, and I walked back toward the double doors. I should have been scared. A rational person would have called HR. A rational person would have quit. But I wasn't rational. I was broke, I was worried about him, and deep down, in the part of me that made bad decisions, I wanted to hear him say he craved me again. I pushed open the door. Noah was sitting behind his desk, his head in his hands. The room was dark. He had closed the blinds. Shut the door, he whispered without looking up, and lock it. Chapter 5. The click of the lock echoed in the dim office like a gunshot. I turned back to Noah. He hadn't moved. He was still sitting with his head in his hands, his elbows resting on the desk that cost more than my entire college education. I locked it, I whispered, clutching my notepad to my chest like a shield. Are you gonna fire me, Noah? Because if you are, I'd appreciate a reference letter that doesn't mention the decaf incident. Noah lowered his hands. His face was ravaged. He looked like a man who had gone 12 rounds with a heavyweight boxer, not a CEO who just sat through a meeting. I'm not firing you, he rasped. I'm trying to keep you. Keep me? You just screamed that you craved me and smashed a ceramic mug into smithereens. That's usually an HR violation, Noah. HR doesn't apply to me, he muttered, standing up. He walked around the desk. I instinctively took a step back. He stopped, instantly, raising his hands in surrender. Don't retreat. I won't hurt you, Jessica. I would cut off my own hand before I hurt you. Then why the theatrics? Because, he sighed, running a hand through his hair, messing up the perfect style, my instincts are currently misaligned. I am under significant pressure. The merger, the competition, and the lack of caffeine, I added helpfully. Yes, that. He looked at me, his eyes dark and unreadable. I need you to sign something. A severance package? A liability waiver, he lied. He picked up a document from his desk. And a salary adjustment. I blinked. A raise? Hazard pay, he corrected, for the emotional distress of working for a difficult man. I'm increasing your salary by 40% effective immediately, and I'm covering your tuition reimbursement. My jaw dropped. Tuition? How do you know about Leo's tuition? Noah froze. He looked away, focusing on a painting of a storm-tossed ship on the wall. I review all employee files. I noticed you were claiming dependents. It's a standard retention strategy. Standard retention strategy is a fruit basket, Noah, not 40%. Take it, he growled, his voice dipping into that dangerous register again. He stepped closer, sliding the paper toward me. Sign it. Let me take care of the debt. Let me fix something today since I clearly broke everything else. I looked at the paper. It was an obscene amount of money. It was enough to pay off Leo's semester and fix the transmission on my car. I looked at Noah. He looked desperate. He looked like he was begging me to take his money so he could feel slightly less like a monster. Fine, I said, grabbing a pen. But I'm still mad about the mug. That was a limited edition Star Wars mug. I'll buy you the franchise, he mumbled. Just buy me lunch. I signed the paper. And Noah, next time you have a craving, maybe just eat a Snickers. Noah watched me sign, his eyes tracking the movement of my hand with predatory focus. A Snickers won't satisfy this hunger, Jessica, he whispered. But for your sake, I'll try. Chapter 6. By 6 p.m., the office was a ghost town. The board members hadn't returned, presumably because they were at church praying for their souls. I packed up my bag. Good night, Noah. Try to sleep. Real sleep, not vampire sleep. Noah appeared in the doorway of his office. He had put his suit jacket back on, buttoned up to the chin like armor. I'm driving you home, he announced. I have a car, I reminded him. It's the Honda Civic that makes a noise like a dying seal when I turn left. The Honda is unsafe, Noah stated. I had it towed. You what? I dropped my bag. You towed my car? I had it sent to the mechanic. The transmission was a death trap. It will be returned to you when it is roadworthy. Until then, you are riding with me. You can't just tow my car without asking, I yelled, chasing him to the elevator. That's grand theft auto. It's fleet maintenance, he countered, hitting the button for the private garage. Get in the elevator, Jessica. You are a tyrant. I am efficient. The ride down was silent and electric. Noah stood in the corner, as far away from me as possible, but I could feel his gaze burning into the side of my head. When we reached the garage, Dante was waiting by a black SUV that looked like a tank. Evening, Jess, Dante grinned. Heard you survived the Decaf apocalypse. Barely, I grumbled, sliding into the back seat. Noah got in beside me. The car was huge, but Noah filled the space. His knee brushed mine. He didn't pull away. He went perfectly still, his breath hitching. So, I said, trying to diffuse the tension as the car peeled out into New York traffic, where are we going? My apartment is in Queens. It's not exactly on your route to wherever billionaires live, a volcano lair? I live in the penthouse of the Obsidian Tower, Noah said stiffly, and we are going to Queens. I need to inspect your security. My security? I have a deadbolt and a neighbor named Mrs. Kowalski who hits the wall with a broom if I sneeze too loud. I'm secure. Mrs. Kowalski is 84, Noah dismissed. She is not a deterrent against hostiles. Hostiles? I laughed. Noah, I'm an administrative assistant. My biggest enemies are paper cuts and the office printer. Who is coming after me? Noah turned to look at me. The streetlights flickered over his face, casting deep shadows that made him look dangerous, ancient. You have no idea, he murmured darkly. You have no idea what walks in this city, Jessica. And as long as you are employed by me, you are a target. A target for corporate espionage? Something like that, he lied. He looked out the window, his jaw clenching. Just let me check the locks. Clause 14 of your new contract, the employer reserves the right to ensure employee safety in off-site locations. I definitely didn't read Clause 14. It was in the fine print on the back, he said shamelessly. Always read the addendums, Jessica. The car pulled up to my building. It was a brick walk-up with a flickering light above the door. Noah looked at it with disdain. This structure is compromised. It's home, I unbuckled. Thanks for the ride. Don't tow my lobby. I hopped out. Noah didn't follow. He just watched me walk to the door, his eyes glowing faintly in the dark interior of the SUV. As I fumbled for my keys, I saw a shadow move in the alleyway across the street, a large, hulking shape that didn't look like a stray dog. I froze. The SUV window rolled down. "Get inside, Jessica." Noah's voice boomed from the car, carrying a command that made my legs move automatically. Now. I bolted inside and locked the door. When I peeked out the window, the shadow in the alleyway was gone, and Noah's SUV was parked right in front of the hydrant, looking like a sleeping beast guarding its cave. Chapter 7. The next morning, Noah was already in the office when I arrived. He was sitting at my desk. "You're in my chair," I noted, putting down my bag. "Your chair is ergonomically insufficient," he critiqued, spinning around. "I ordered you a new one. It has lumbar support and heating." "You're bribing me again." "I'm optimizing." He stood up and my desk suddenly felt very small. "We have a meeting with the Holloway Group at 11. Reed Holloway is difficult. Do not engage with him." "Reed Holloway? The tech mogul?" "He's a snake." Noah spat the word. "Stay close to me. Do not let him touch you." "I don't usually let clients get physical, Noah. It's unprofessional." Before he could respond, my cell phone rang. It was sitting on the desk between us. The caller ID flashed. Nana Rose, do not answer unless urgent. I should get that. I reached for it. She only calls if she's fallen or if she's watching a soap opera she hates. Noah beat me to it. He picked up the phone. "Noah, no!" I lunged. "Hello," Noah answered, his voice deep and authoritative. I covered my face with my hands. "Oh my God. Who is this?" Nana Rose's voice was loud enough to hear through the speaker. "You sound like you smoke cigars. Are you the kidnapper? I don't have money, but I have a very heavy cane." Noah blinked. The terrifying Alpha King looked baffled. "I am not a kidnapper, madam. I am Jessica's employer, Noah Michelson." "The boss?" Nana scoffed. "The one she says is infuriatingly hot but emotionally constipated?" I let out a sound that was half squeak, half sob. Noah looked at me, one eyebrow raised. "Emotionally constipated?" he repeated, a smirk playing on his lips. "Listen here, Mr. Hot and Constipated," Nana continued. "Why is my granddaughter working so late? She's thin. She needs to eat. Are you feeding her?" Yes, I feed her. I bought her lunch yesterday. A sandwich is not a meal. A meal has potatoes. You take her to a steakhouse tonight, and don't let her pay. She's saving for that good-for-nothing brother of hers. "Nana, stop." I tried to grab the phone. Noah turned his back, shielding the phone from me. "I agree, madam. Leo's tuition is handled, and I will ensure she eats protein tonight." "Good. You sound tall. Are you tall?" 6'4", Noah answered, standing up straighter. Acceptable. Tell her to call me. And you, watch your temper. I hear things in your voice, boy. You got a wolf in your throat." Noah went rigid. The playful smirk vanished. I will tell her. Goodbye, madam." He hung up and placed the phone gently on the desk. He looked shaken. "Your grandmother," Noah whispered, "is perceptive." "She's a menace," I groaned. "I am so sorry. Emotionally constipated was a heat-of-the-moment description." "It's accurate," Noah muttered. "And she's right. Steakhouse. Tonight. 7 p.m. "It's a date? It's a dietary mandate from your elder. I dare not disobey her. She threatened me with a cane. She would use it, too." Noah looked at me, and for the first time in weeks, his eyes weren't filled with obsession or rage. They were warm. "I like her," he decided. "She has spirit. Reminds me of my pack matriarch." "You have a pack matriarch?" "Metaphorically," he said quickly. "Get your notepad, Jessica. Reed Holloway is here." Chapter 8. Reed Holloway didn't walk into a room, he slithered. He was handsome in a slick, overly polished way. Blonde hair, blue eyes that were a little too bright, and a smile that showed too many teeth. He walked into Noah's office with two bodyguards who looked like they were carved out of granite. Noah stood behind his desk. He didn't offer a hand. He didn't smile. He radiated a cold, oppressive energy that made the air in the room feel heavy. Noah, Reed grinned. Long time. You look tense. Still having trouble with the borders? My borders are secure, Reed, Noah said, his voice low. State your business. Just a friendly merger proposal, Reed said, dropping a file on the desk. He turned his attention to me. I was standing by the bookshelf, trying to be invisible. Reed's eyes swept over me, lingering in a way that made my skin crawl. He inhaled deeply, just like Noah did. "And who is this?" Reed asked, taking a step toward me. New assistant or something else? "She is staff," Noah growled. "Look at me, Reed." Reed ignored him. He walked right up to me. "You have a very interesting scent, darling. Vanilla and something electric, like ozone." He reached out to touch a strand of my hair. "Don't," I said, stepping back. "Feisty," Reed smirked. "I like feisty. If you ever get tired of Noah's temper, come work for me. Holloway Industries has much better benefits, and I'm much more hands-on." His finger brushed my shoulder. "Roar!" It wasn't a shout, it was a roar. Noah didn't walk around the desk. He vaulted over it. In a blur of motion, Noah was between me and Reed. He grabbed Reed's wrist, the one that had touched me, and twisted it back with a sickening pop. "Ah!" Reed shouted, dropping to one knee. Noah didn't let go. He leaned down, his face contorted into a mask of pure animalistic fury. His eyes were blazing gold. His teeth looked sharper. "She," Noah snarled, his voice vibrating the floorboards, "is not on the menu." Reed's bodyguards moved to intercept, but Dante appeared from the hallway, blocking them with a gun drawn. "I wouldn't," Dante warned them. "He's in a mood." Reed laughed despite the pain. He looked up at Noah with a twisted grin. "So it's true. You found her, the unclaimed mate." "Get out," Noah commanded, "before I rip your throat out in front of my assistant." "She doesn't know, does she?" Reed whispered, looking at me over Noah's shoulder. "She doesn't know she's sleeping with a monster." "I'm not sleeping with him," I yelled, finding my voice, "and he's not a monster. He's just protective." Noah flinched. He looked back at me, terrified of what I was seeing. Reed yanked his arm free. He stood up, rubbing his wrist. "Protective," Reed chuckled darkly. "Keep telling yourself that, sweetheart, but when the moon rises, ask him what he really wants to do to you." Reed turned to the door. "I'll be seeing you, Noah. Keep her close. Accidents happen." He left. The room fell silent. Noah stood with his back to me, his shoulders heaving. His hands were clenched into fists so tight his knuckles were white. "Noah," I whispered. He didn't turn around. "Go to lunch, Jessica," he choked out. "Please, just get away from me." "He threatened you," I said, stepping closer instead of leaving. "He talked about the moon. Noah, what is going on?" "Nothing you need to know." He slammed his fist onto the desk, cracking the wood. "Go." I backed away, but as I grabbed my purse and ran, I knew one thing for sure. I wasn't going to lunch. I was going to Google gold eyes and super strength, because Reed Holloway was right about one thing. I didn't know what my boss was, but I was going to find out. Chapter 9. I sat at my kitchen table staring at my laptop screen. My browser history looked like the diary of a conspiracy theorist. Why are my boss's eyes gold? Medical conditions that cause super strength? Can steroids make you growl? Is Reed Holloway a vampire? "You're losing it, Jess," Lola said, taking a bite of leftover pizza. She was sitting on my counter, swinging her legs. I had called her for an emergency summit. "Noah Michelson isn't a supernatural creature. He's just a rich guy on a keto diet. They all get weird about meat and eye contact." He jumped over a desk, Lola, I argued, pacing my tiny kitchen. From a standstill, he cleared mahogany like it was a hurdle, and Reed said something about the moon. Tech bros love astrology, Lola dismissed. Maybe he's a Leo or a Scorpio. Scorpios are intense. He snapped a man's wrist like a twig because he touched my shoulder. Okay, that part is hot, Lola pointed out. Toxic, but hot. He's obsessed with you, Jess. It's classic workplace obsession. He probably has a shrine to you made of staples. I rubbed my face. I don't know. The way he looked at me, it wasn't just obsession, it was ownership. Knock, knock. Someone pounded on my door. Not a polite knock, a heavy, authoritative thud. If that's Mrs. Kowalski complaining about the noise, I'm going to scream. I marched to the door. I looked through the peephole. It wasn't Mrs. Kowalski. It was a man in a jumpsuit holding a tool belt and a tablet. I opened the door, leaving the chain on. Can I help you? Building maintenance, the guy grunted. Here to install the biometric scanners. The what? I blinked. This is a walk-up in Queens. We don't have biometric scanners. We have a buzzer that hasn't worked since 2004. New management, the guy said, tapping his tablet. Building was sold this morning. New owner ordered a full security retrofit. Retinal scanners, reinforced steel doors, and shatterproof glass for the ground floor. Sold? I unhooked the chain. To who? The guy turned the tablet around. Owner, Omega Holdings LLC, subsidiary of Michelson Enterprises. I felt my soul leave my body. He bought my building, I whispered. He literally bought my apartment building. Who? Lola asked, peeking over my shoulder. Noah, I choked out. He didn't just tow my car, he bought my landlord. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A text message. Sender. The boss upgrade comes with rent control and a new dishwasher. You're welcome. Oh, he is dead, I growled, grabbing my coat. Lola, you're in charge. I'm going to commit a crime. Bring me back a scanner, Lola yelled as I stormed out. Chapter 10. I didn't go to the office. I called an Uber and went straight to the steakhouse. It was 7 p.m., the reservation Nana Rose had bullied us into. I marched into the Gilded Horn, a restaurant that smelled like money and charred animal protein. The host tried to stop me, but I pointed a finger at him. I am looking for a giant, brooding man who thinks he owns Queens. Point him out. The host paled and pointed to a private booth in the back, shrouded in shadows. Noah was there. He was wearing a black turtleneck that accentuated his broad shoulders, looking like a Bond villain on his day off. He stood up when he saw me, his eyes scanning the room for threats before landing on my furious face. You look lovely, Jessica, he said smoothly, though your heart rate is elevated. You bought my building, I hissed, sliding into the booth. You bought the Willow Arms. It has roaches, Noah. Why would you buy it? I exterminated the roaches an hour ago, he said calmly, pouring me a glass of wine. And I bought it because the security was pathetic. Reed knows where you live. Now, to get to your door, he has to bypass a system designed by the Pentagon. You are micromanaging my life. I am protecting my assets. I am not an asset. I am a person. You are... He stopped, his jaw working. He looked at me with that raw, hungry intensity that always made my anger melt into something dangerous. You are essential. If Reed takes you, he breaks me. I cannot allow that. Why? I demanded, leaning over the table. Why do I matter so much? I serve you coffee. I schedule your dental appointments. I am replaceable. No, Noah growled, his voice dropping so low the candle on the table flickered. You are not replaceable. You are the anchor. Without you, the wolf, the work, consumes me. He caught himself. He took a sip of water. Let's order, he said abruptly. Your grandmother insisted on protein. The waiter arrived. Noah didn't even look at the menu. 2 ribeyes, Noah commanded. Hers medium, mine blue. Blue? I asked as the waiter scurried away. That's basically raw, Noah. I like the texture, he murmured. We sat in silence for a moment. I watched him. He was tense, constantly scanning the restaurant. Every time a man walked by our table, Noah's hand twitched toward the steak knife. "Noah," I said softly, "Reed said something today. He said, 'when the moon rises.' What did he mean?" Noah stiffened. "Reed is dramatic. He speaks in metaphors." "Is he?" I took a sip of wine. "Because you growled at him, and you healed from a paper cut last week, and you bought a building in cash in 4 hours." Noah looked me in the eye. "Jessica, there are things about this city, about the power structures, that you don't understand. Reed is a predator, a rival. He wants to take everything I have, my company, my territory, and now you." "Why?" I demanded, leaning over the table. "Why do I matter so much? I serve you coffee. I schedule your dental appointments. I am replaceable." "No," Noah growled, his voice rising so high the candle on the table flickered. "Because he knows that you are the only thing I have ever craved more than power." My breath hitched. "Noah." "Don't ask me to explain," he pleaded, his thumb stroking my knuckles. "Not yet. Just trust me. Let me guard the door. Let me buy the building. Just stay safe." I looked at him, this terrifying, powerful, insane man who ate raw meat and bought real estate to keep me safe. "Fine," I whispered, "but I'm not paying the rent increase." Noah smiled. It was a real smile, showing a glimpse of white teeth that looked sharper than average. "Rent is free," he said, "for family." Chapter 11. The dinner was confusingly romantic. Noah ate his steak like he hadn't eaten in a week, tearing into it with a primal grace that was weirdly attractive. We talked about safe topics: Lola's betting pool, Nana Rose's obsession with soap operas, the Q4 marketing strategy. For an hour, he wasn't the Alpha King. He was just Noah, funny, sharp, and surprisingly attentive. But the bubble burst the moment we walked out of the restaurant. My phone rang. Leo. "Hey, kid," I answered, smiling at Noah, who was holding the car door open for me. "Did the tuition check clear?" Noah gave me a bonus. "Jess," Leo's voice was shaking. "Yeah, the check cleared, but something weird happened." "Weird how?" "I got an email from Holloway Industries. Reed Holloway." I froze on the sidewalk. Noah went rigid beside me, sensing my fear instantly. "What did the email say, Leo?" "He offered me an internship, Jess, a senior cybersecurity fellowship. It pays 6 figures. He said he saw my code on GitHub." "Leo, listen to me," I said, gripping the phone. "Do not reply. Do not click any links." "I already replied," Leo said excitedly. "Jess, this is huge. He wants to meet me tomorrow. He said he knows you. He said you guys are close." "We are not close," I shouted. "Leo, Reed Holloway is dangerous. He is trying to get to me. You cannot meet him." "But Jess—" "Give me the phone," Noah roared. I didn't argue. I handed it to him. "Leo," Noah barked into the phone. His voice wasn't human. It was the command. "This is Noah Michelson. You will not go to that meeting. You will lock your dorm room door. I'm sending a car for you. Do not open the door for anyone but Dante Vance. Do you understand?" There was a silence on the other end, then a terrified squeak from my brother. "Yes, sir." Noah hung up and shoved the phone into his pocket. He turned to me. The warmth from dinner was gone. The monster was back. "He targeted your blood. He went after the cub." "The cub?" I blinked. "You mean my brother?" "He crossed the line." Noah's eyes were flashing gold under the streetlights. "He thinks he can use your family as leverage. He thinks he can hunt in my territory." "Noah, you're scaring me." I grabbed his arm. His muscles were rock hard, vibrating with tension. "Good." He looked down at me. "You should be scared. We are at war, Jessica." "War? Over a merger?" "Over you," he corrected. He grabbed my shoulders. "You are not going back to the apartment. Even with the new locks, it's too far from me. If Reed sends a team, I can't reach you in time." "Then where am I going?" "The penthouse. My home. It's a fortress. Dante's picking up Leo. He will bring him there." "You're moving my brother in too?" "I am moving the whole pack in if I have to," Noah yelled, startling a couple walking by. Get in the car, Jessica. We're going to the tower, and we are not leaving until Reed Holloway is a stain on the pavement. Chapter 12. The drive to the Obsidian Tower was a blur of speed and aggression. Noah drove like he was escaping a bank robbery. When we arrived, the building was on lockdown. Security guards, who all looked like linebackers, were patrolling the lobby with serious-looking weapons. "Noah," I whispered as we stepped into the private elevator, "is this legal?" "I write the laws in this building," he muttered, punching in a code that was roughly 20 digits long. The elevator shot up. My ears popped. "Why is Reed doing this?" I asked, cornering him in the elevator. "Why is he targeting Leo? Just to make me, what, quit?" Noah looked at the ceiling. He seemed to be fighting a massive internal battle. "He doesn't want you to quit, Jess. He wants to claim you." "Claim me? Like poach me?" "In a way," Noah said tightly. "He smells what I smell. He sees the potential. If he takes you, he weakens me. It's a dominance play." "I am not a trophy," I shouted, poking him in the chest. "I am a human woman with a 401k. Stop talking about me like I'm a flag in a game of capture the flag." Noah caught my finger. He held it, staring at me with a mix of frustration and adoration. "You are not a trophy," he whispered. "You are the prize. There is a difference." The elevator doors opened directly into the penthouse. It was breathtaking. Floor-to-ceiling glass overlooking the entire city. Sleek, dark furniture, and it smelled exactly like him. Pine, rain, and expensive cologne. But in the center of the room, sitting on a black leather sofa, was a woman. She was older, with steel gray hair pulled into a tight bun and eyes that could cut diamonds. She was knitting. "Mrs. Higgins?" I gasped. "From HR?" Mrs. Higgins looked up. She didn't smile. "You're late, Alpha," Mrs. Higgins said, her needles clicking rhythmically. "And you brought the girl, finally." "Mrs. Higgins is staying here too?" I asked Noah. "Mrs. Higgins is the only person Reed Holloway is afraid of," Noah said, tossing his keys on the counter. "She's watching the door." "I am watching the perimeter," Mrs. Higgins corrected. She looked at me, sniffing the air. "You smell of stress and cheap perfume." "It's Chanel," I defended. "It's synthetic," she sniffed. "Go wash up, dear. Dante is 5 minutes out with the boy. We're ordering pizza. Meat lovers. Extra meat." I looked at Noah. "Is your HR director babysitting us?" "She's head of pack security," Noah muttered, walking toward the liquor cabinet. "Or she used to be, before she decided paperwork was more lethal." He poured a drink and downed it in one go. He turned to me, his eyes dark. "Welcome home, Jessica. Don't get comfortable. As soon as I kill Reed, you can go back to Queens." "I don't think you mean that," I said quietly. "I have to mean it," he said, turning away. "Because if you stay here too long, I won't be able to let you leave." Chapter 13. The elevator doors pinged open again. Dante walked in, balancing a stack of pizza boxes in one hand and holding my brother Leo by the scruff of his hoodie with the other. "Picked up dinner on the way," Dante announced, kicking the door shut behind him. "Figured we wouldn't want to wait for delivery." "Let me go," Leo protested, stumbling into the penthouse. "I have rights. I'm a citizen, and I was in the middle of a raid." "Leo!" I ran over and hugged him. "Are you okay? Did he hurt you?" Leo blinked, looking around the massive luxury penthouse. "Who? The Terminator guy?" He pointed at Dante. "No, he just picked me up like a bag of groceries and threw me in a black SUV. Jess, seriously, what is going on? Did you win the lottery or did you join a cult?" "She works for me," Noah said from the bar, swirling his whiskey, "which is similar to a cult, but the benefits are better." Leo's jaw dropped. "You're Noah Michelson, the Noah Michelson, the guy who wrote the source code for the Obsidian firewall." "The same," Noah said, walking over. "And you are Leo, the kid who almost signed a contract with Reed Holloway without reading the fine print." "Reed Holloway is a visionary," Leo defended. "Reed Holloway is a hack," Noah corrected coldly, "and he was going to use you to infect my servers. He didn't want your coding skills, Leo. He wanted your sister's access codes." Leo looked at me confused. Jess, why would he want you? You just make spreadsheets. Hey, I slapped his arm. My spreadsheets are art. Sit down, boy, Mrs. Higgins commanded from the sofa. She pointed a knitting needle at the floor. Eat pizza, don't touch the upholstery. Leo looked at the terrifying old woman, then at the giant bodyguard, Dante, then at the billionaire CEO. He wisely decided to sit down and eat pizza. Noah, I pulled him aside. Holloway, isn't going to stop, is he? No, Noah murmured, his eyes tracking Leo. He crossed the line. He targeted family. In the business world, that's a lawsuit. In my world? In your world, it's a war? It's a hunt, Noah corrected. Suddenly, the lights in the penthouse flickered. The smart home system gave a low, dying whine. The music cut out. The security screens on the wall went black. System failure, Dante announced, drawing his gun instantly. We're offline. The perimeter sensors are down. He's hacking us, Leo mumbled, with a mouthful of pepperoni. That's a brute force attack. I recognize the signature. It's the Holloway worm. He's not just hacking, Noah said, sniffing the air. His posture shifted, his shoulders hunched, his hands curling into fists. A low growl started in his chest. He's here. Here? I whispered. In the building? In the elevator shaft, Noah snarled. He bypassed the lobby. He's coming up the service hatch. Leo, get behind Mrs. Higgins, I shouted. Mrs. Higgins didn't look worried. She pulled down her knitting and pulled a massive nickel-plated revolver out of her yarn bag. Finally, she sighed. I was getting bored. Chapter 14. The glass wall overlooking the terrace shattered. Not the elevator, the terrace. Ropes dropped from the roof. 3 men in tactical gear swung through the broken glass, landing on the Persian rug. Security breach. Dante yelled, tackling the first guy. It was chaos. Leo screamed and dove behind the sofa. Mrs. Higgins fired her revolver, boom, taking out the second intruder's kneecap with terrifying accuracy. But the third man didn't attack. He stood aside. Reed Holloway stepped through the broken window. He was wearing a gray suit that would literally cost an arm and a leg, and he held a cane, a silver-tipped cane. Noah! Reed shouted over the noise. You really should fix that firewall. It was embarrassingly easy to crack. Noah stood in the center of the room. He wasn't moving. He was trembling with a lethal, contained tension. You broke into my home, Noah said, his voice sounding strange, distorted, like 2 voices speaking at once. You threatened my mate's blood. Mate? Reed laughed. Oh, you finally admitted it? The little secretary is the Luna? Reed looked at me. He smiled. Hello, Jessica. Ready to quit? I have a helicopter waiting on the roof. Much better commute. I am not going anywhere with you, I yelled, grabbing a heavy vase. Get out of my boss's house. Boss's house? Reed tisked. Honey, he's not your boss. He's a monster. Look at him. I looked at Noah. He was changing. His suit jacket ripped at the shoulders. His hands were elongating, fingers turning into dark, curved claws. His jaw unhinged, snapping back into place with a sickening crack as fangs, actual razor-sharp fangs, descended. His eyes were pure liquid gold. Reed, Noah roared. It wasn't human. It was the sound of a nightmare coming to life. Run. Reed didn't run. He tapped his cane on the floor. Boys, the toys. 2 more men dropped from the roof. They were holding what looked like cattle prods. High voltage, Reed sneered, specifically calibrated for alphas. Let's see if the big bad wolf can take a shock. They lunged at Noah. No, I screamed, but Noah didn't dodge. He caught the first cattle prod with his bare hand. Zzz, crack. Electricity arced over his skin. Noah didn't even flinch. He laughed, a deep barking sound. He crushed the metal rod in his grip, sparks flying everywhere. He backhanded the man, sending him flying across the room and through a drywall partition. The second man tried to run, but Noah moved faster than my eyes could track. He was a blur of shadow and violence. He grabbed the man by the vest and tossed him out the broken window onto the terrace. Reed's smile vanished. That's impossible. That was 50,000 volts. Noah turned to Reed. He was hunched over, his shirt in tatters, fur bristling along his spine. He looked terrifying. He looked beautiful. Noah growled, stepping closer, I am highly conductive. I should have been screaming. I should have been running away with Leo, but I couldn't move. I was paralyzed, not by fear, but by awe. He was a wolf, a man-wolf, a werewolf. The internet conspiracy theories were right. The gold eyes, the super strength, the raw meat. He was a monster, and he was tearing apart an armed strike team to keep me safe. Leo, stay down, I whispered, though Leo had already fainted behind the couch. Reed Holloway backed up, raising his silver cane like a sword. Stay back, Michelson. This is pure silver. It burns. Noah stalked him. He didn't look like a CEO anymore. He moved on the balls of his feet, predatory and silent. You touched her hair, Noah whispered. The sound filled the room. In the office, you touched her. It was just hair, Reed shrieked, swinging the cane. Noah caught the cane. The silver sizzled against his palm, smoke rising. The smell of burning flesh filled the air. Noah didn't let go. He yanked the cane out of Reed's grip and with a roar of effort crushed the metal shaft in his fist, bending it into a useless U-shape before tossing it aside. He grabbed Reed by the throat and lifted him off the ground. His feet kicked helplessly in the air. Noah! I shouted, stepping forward. Noah, stop! Noah froze. He didn't look at me. He was breathing heavily, his claws digging into Reed's expensive suit. He's not worth it, I said, my voice shaking. If you kill him, the police, the press, Leo. Noah turned his head slowly. His face was half-shifted, shadowed, angular, terrifying. The gold eyes locked onto mine. You threatened the pack, Noah growled. I know, I said, walking closer, navigating the broken glass. But you're not a murderer, Noah. You're a CEO. You destroy people with mergers and acquisitions, not claws. I reached out. I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew I had to touch him. I placed my hand on his arm. His skin was burning hot, hard as rock. The fur under my fingers felt coarse and electric. Drop him, I commanded softly. Boss. Noah shuddered. The rage in his eyes flickered, warring with something else. Recognition, obedience. He looked at Reed, who was turning purple. Then he looked at me. He dropped Reed. Reed crumpled to the floor, gasping for air. Dante, Noah rasped, his voice slowly returning to human pitch. Secure him, the quiet room. Dante stepped forward, holstering his gun and looking at Reed with a grim smile. On it, boss. He won't see daylight. Mrs. Higgins put away her revolver and pulled out her phone. Already dialed. We'll need a glazier, too. Noah didn't move. He stood there, half naked, bleeding and smoking from the silver burn, staring at me. He looked like he expected me to scream, to run. Jess, he whispered. I looked at the claws receding. I looked at the fangs retracting. So, this explains the stake. Chapter 16. The penthouse was quiet, save for the wind whistling through the broken window. Dante had dragged Reed and his goons into the service elevator, presumably to process them, which I decided not to ask about. Mrs. Higgins was tending to Leo, who had woken up and was currently vomiting into a potted plant. I sat on the coffee table holding a first aid kit. Noah sat on the sofa. He had shifted back fully to human form, but he looked wrecked. He was shirtless, his chest heaving, the burn on his palm angry and red. He wouldn't look at me. Say it, Noah said roughly, staring at the floor. Say I'm a monster. Say I quit. Get it over with. Give me your hand, I said, opening a bottle of antiseptic. He flinched. Jessica, did you not see? I saw. You turned into a wolfman and beat up a tech CEO who broke into your house. It was very dramatic. Give me your hand. He hesitated, then slowly extended his injured hand. I poured the antiseptic over the burn. He didn't even wince. Does it hurt? I asked. Silver burns slow. It stops the healing. Well, we'll wrap it up. I started winding the gauze. You know, Leo is going to need therapy. Like extensive therapy. I'll pay for it, Noah said quickly. And Mrs. Higgins shot a guy. Is that normal HR policy? She's very dedicated to conflict resolution. I finished wrapping his hand. I didn't let go. I held his massive, warm hand in mine. Why didn't you tell me? I asked softly. Because you would have run, Noah, he said, finally looking up. His eyes were black again, but the vulnerability in them was new. Humans, they fear us, they leave. I'm not running, Noah. You should. Reed knows now. The secret is out. You're in the middle of a war. I'm already in the middle, I said. You bought my apartment building. You paid my brother's tuition. You saved my life. I squeezed his hand. And honestly, I smiled weakly, after seeing Reed Holloway in a suit trying to act tough, I prefer the wolf. Noah stared at me. He looked like I had just handed him the keys to the universe. You accept it? He whispered. The beast? I accept the package deal. But Noah, next time you feel a shift coming on, maybe don't wear the Armani. It's a waste of good silk. Noah let out a breath, a laugh that sounded like a sob. He leaned forward and rested his forehead against my shoulder. I tried so hard, he murmured into my shirt, to be civilized for you. Overrated, I whispered, stroking his hair. Now, can we order another pizza? Leo threw up the first one. Chapter 17. The sun rose over the New York skyline, illuminating the absolute wreckage of Noah's penthouse. I sat at the kitchen island, drinking coffee, real coffee this time, out of a mug that said, Boss Lady. Noah was pacing the living room, shirtless, talking on the phone in low, aggressive growls. Leo sat next to me, staring into his cereal bowl like it held the secrets of the universe. So, Leo whispered, not looking up, he's a werewolf. Lichen, Mrs. Higgins corrected from the stove, where she was frying a mountain of bacon with a terrifyingly large fork. Werewolves are feral, lichens are civilized. We pay taxes. Right, Lichen, Leo nodded slowly. And the guy who broke in, Reed Holloway? Rogue Alpha, Mrs. Higgins said, dropping a slab of meat onto Leo's plate. Dante put him in the quiet room. Is the quiet room a dungeon? Leo asked. Eat your carbs, boy. I rubbed my temples. Leo, how are you handling this? You usually freak out if the Wi-Fi goes down for 10 seconds. Honestly, Jess, it explains a lot, Leo shrugged, like how he knew I was hacking his firewall before I even hit enter, and why he smells like a pine forest in the middle of Manhattan. It's actually scientifically fascinating. I have so many questions about his chromosomal structure. Noah hung up the phone and walked over to us. He looked exhausted, but the moment his eyes landed on me, his expression softened. He walked around the island and stood behind my stool, resting his chin on the top of my head. His arms wrapped around my shoulders, effectively trapping me against his chest. You smell like stress, he murmured into my hair. I smell like I haven't showered in 24 hours, and I'm wearing yesterday's blouse. Noah, we have to go to work. Work is canceled, Noah stated. The building is compromised. We are staying here until the glazier fixes the window. We can't cancel work, Noah. The Q3 audit is due on Friday. If we don't file, the SEC will be scarier than any rogue alpha. Noah groaned, burying his face in my neck. I don't care about the SEC. I just want to build a nest and keep you in it. A nest? Leo choked on his pancake. Dude, TMI. It's instinct, Noah growled at Leo, though there was no heat in it. He looked at me. You want to go to the office, knowing what I am, knowing everyone there is like me? Wait, I spun around on the stool. Everyone? Lola, the receptionist, the guy who waters the plants? Lola is a beta, good at communication. The plant guy is human. We like him. He's quiet. I stared at him. My work bestie is a werewolf? She prefers Shifter, Noah said. And yes, she's been guarding you for 3 years, Jessica. Why do you think no one ever steals your lunch from the fridge? I thought it was because I put hot sauce on my sandwiches. It's because Lola growls at anyone who touches your Tupperware. Okay, that's settled it. We are going to the office. I have a lot of questions for Lola. And Noah, put on a shirt. You're distracting the intern, I pointed at Leo. I'm not looking, Leo yelled, covering his eyes. I'm traumatized. Chapter 18. Walking into Michelson Enterprises felt different today. Before, I saw a sleek corporate machine. Now, I saw a den. I noticed the way the security guards at the front desk, pack enforcers apparently, dipped their heads when Noah walked by. I noticed how the ambient chatter in the bullpen died instantly when he entered the room. It wasn't just respect for a CEO, it was submission to an alpha. And then there was me. Usually people smiled at me or ignored me. Today, they stared. They know, Noah whispered, his hand resting possessively on the small of my back as we walked to the elevator. They can smell my scent on you. It's strong. Great, I'm a walking pheromone billboard. We reached the top floor. Lola was at her desk, typing furiously. When she saw me, she stopped. She looked at Noah, then at me, then at Noah's hand on my back. She didn't say a word. She just slowly slid a $20 bill across her desk to Dante. You bet against us? I gasped. I bet on slow burn, Lola sighed. Dante bet on workplace incident leads to claiming. He won. It wasn't a workplace incident, it was a home invasion. Semantics, Dante grinned, pocketing the money. Lola, I marched over to her desk, we need to talk about the Tupperware and the fact that you'd turn into a canine. Lola winced. Technically, I turn into a coyote. It's a subspecies thing. Can we talk later? Because the council is here. Noah went rigid beside me. The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. The board? Noah asked, his voice low and dangerous. The inner council, Lola whispered. Chairman Roth and the elders. They're in your office. They know about the shift, Noah. They know you revealed yourself to a human. I revealed myself to my mate, Noah snarled. They don't care, Dante warned, stepping up. They're invoking the Secrecy Act. They brought the silencers. I looked between them. Silencers? That sounds ominous. Is that a gun or a lawyer? Both, Noah said grimly. He turned to me. Jessica, stay here. Go to the break room, eat a donut. Do not come into my office. Not this again. I crossed my arms. Noah, last time you told me to stay put, a man with a silver cane broke into the penthouse. I am not sitting this out. This is internal politics, Noah pleaded, grabbing my shoulders. Chairman Roth isn't like Reed. He's lawful evil. He will try to hurt you with rules, not fists. I can't protect you from rules. I agree. I pulled my black binder from my bag. This, I patted the cover, is the audit of the discretionary spending accounts for the last 5 years. If Chairman Roth is here to play by the rules, I think he's going to want to see page 42. Noah stared at me. A slow, wicked grin spread across his face, transforming him from a worried boyfriend into the ruthless Alpha King. You audited the council. I audit everyone, Noah. It's my love language. He laughed, a sound that made Lola and Dante exchange terrified looks. Fine, Noah said, offering me his arm. Shall we go terrify the board? Let's, I said, hooking my arm through his. I hope they like decaf. Chapter 19. The boardroom was even colder than usual. Chairman Roth sat at the head of the table, Noah's seat. He was an elderly man with white hair, impeccable posture, and eyes that looked like frozen chips of ice. He was flanked by 4 other board members, elders, all looking grave. When Noah walked in, they didn't stand. That was a bad sign. Get out of my chair, Roth, Noah said calmly, releasing my arm to stand at the foot of the table. You forfeited this chair when you broke the first law, Roth said, his voice dry as dust. Exposure of the species to a human, unsanctioned violence in a residential zone, and... Roth's icy eyes slid to me. He looked at me like I was a smudge on his glasses. And bringing a pet to a council meeting. Noah growled. It wasn't the sexy, rumbling growl he used on me. It was a chainsaw revving up. His hands slammed onto the table, cracking the mahogany. She is not a pet. Noah's voice vibrated the windows. She is the Luna. She is a liability, Roth shouted, standing up. She knows our secrets. She has seen the shift. The law demands she be silenced. Either she takes the oath and leaves the city, or what? I piped up, stepping out from behind Noah. Roth blinked, surprised I was speaking. Or we remove the memory permanently. It is a painful procedure. It leaves damage. Lobotomy, I translated. You want to lobotomize me because your CEO turned into a wolf to save my life from a corporate terrorist? It is the law, Roth stated. We cannot risk exposure. Right, exposure, I nodded, opening my binder. I walked around the table, my heels clicking on the hardwood floor. Because you guys are so good at keeping secrets. I slid the binder onto the table in front of Roth. What is this? Roth sneered. That, I pointed, is a summary of the charitable donations siphoned from the Michelson Discretionary Fund in the last fiscal year. I tracked the outgoing wire transfers, specifically the $3.5 million donation to the Roth Foundation for Canine Health. Roth went pale. I cross-referenced the tax ID. I continued, pacing like a shark. The foundation doesn't exist. The routing number leads to a private account in the Bahamas, an account registered to your mistress, Chairman Roth. The other elders gasped. They turned to look at Roth. Lies, Roth sputtered. This human is lying. I have the bank transfers, I said sweetly, and you, Elder Vance, the security consulting fees paid to your nephew's lawn care business, $500,000 for landscaping, that's a lot of mulch. I slammed the binder shut. Here is the situation, I announced, leaning on the table. You are worried about me exposing you to the humans. I'm the least of your problems. If the IRS sees these books, you won't go to a magic wolf prison. You'll go to federal prison. And they don't serve raw steak in Leavenworth. The room was dead silent. Noah was watching me. He was leaning against the wall, arms crossed, with a look of pure, unadulterated adoration on his face. He looked like he wanted to propose to me right there. So, I smiled at Roth, we have two options. Option A, you try to silence me. Noah kills you. I release the audit to the SEC. Everyone loses. I paused for effect. Option B, you accept me as the Luna. You resign as chairman, Noah takes his chair back, and I fix your books. I make this money disappear legally. I protect the pack from the real enemy, the tax man. Roth looked at the binder. He looked at Noah, who was flexing his claws. He looked at the other elders, who were already distancing themselves from him. She audits, one of the elders whispered in fear. Roth slowly sat back down. He slumped. Option B, he whispered. Chapter 20. The meeting ended 5 minutes later with Chairman Roth's voluntary retirement. As the board members shuffled out, they didn't look at me with disdain anymore. They looked at me with terror. One of them actually thanked me for not reporting his company car misuse. When the door closed, leaving us alone, Noah walked over to the table. He picked up the binder and weighed it in his hand. You defeated the council? Noah said, shaking his head. With paper. The pen is mightier than the sword, I shrugged. Or, in this case, the spreadsheet is mightier than the claw. Noah tossed the binder aside and grabbed me by the waist. He lifted me up and sat me on the boardroom table, stepping between my legs. You were magnificent, he growled, his hands running up my thighs. I have never been so turned on in my life. Noah, we're in the boardroom, I laughed, putting my hands on his shoulders. This is unprofessional. I own the building, he murmured, kissing my jaw. I make the rules, and the new rule is that the Luna gets whatever she wants. The Luna wants lunch, I said, and maybe a nap. I saved your empire before noon. I'm tired. We can do lunch, he agreed, nipping at my lower lip. But first, he pulled back, reaching into his pocket. He pulled out a small velvet box. My heart stopped. Noah, tell me that isn't... It's not a ring, he promised. Not yet. I know you'd freak out. He opened the box. Inside was a delicate gold necklace, a small pendant in the shape of a crescent moon with a tiny diamond chip in the center. It's a protection charm, he explained, fastening around my neck. It has my scent woven into the metal. It tells every wolf in the city that you are chosen, that you are under the Alpha's protection. I touched the cool metal. It's beautiful. It's a warning, he corrected gently, to anyone who thinks they can touch you. But after today, I don't think they'll be scared of me. He smirked. They'll be scared of the accountant. Good, I kissed him. Fear keeps the receipts organized. Noah laughed, a real happy laugh that erased the shadows in his eyes. Come on, he said, pulling me off the table. Let's go find Leo. I promised him I'd show him the server room. I think he wants to try and hack the Pentagon. Please don't let my brother hack the Pentagon. I'll supervise. Maybe we can outsource it. I hear the Vampire Coven needs IT support. Don't even joke, I groaned as we walked out the door. If I have to audit vampires next, I'm doubling my rate. Done, Noah said. Whatever you want, Jessica. I only crave you. Chapter 21. The server room of Michelson Enterprises was colder than the boardroom, but at least the hum of the machines was soothing. I sat on a swivel chair, watching my 19-year-old brother, Leo, lose his absolute mind. This is an omni-core processor, Leo whispered, touching the glass case of the main server like it was a religious relic. Jess, do you know how much this costs? This is worth more than the GDP of a small country. Don't touch the glass, Leo, I warned. You'll leave fingerprints. Let him touch it, Noah said. He was leaning against the doorframe, sleeves rolled up, looking relaxed for the first time in days. It's biometric. It knows he's safe. It knows? Leo spun around. It has AI recognition? I wrote the code, Noah smirked. It recognizes heat signatures and heart rates. It knows your family. If you were a threat, the halon gas would have deployed 30 seconds ago. Leo's eyes went wide. That is so cool. It is not cool, I interjected. It is a fire hazard. Noah, stop encouraging him. Noah pushed off the wall and walked over to us. He placed a heavy hand on Leo's shoulder. Leo, who usually flinched at physical contact, didn't move. He looked up at Noah with hero worship. You have talent, Leo, Noah said seriously. Reed Holloway saw it, but he wanted to exploit it. I want to develop it. Develop it? Leo squeaked. Summer internship, Noah offered. Legit, paid, under Dante's supervision. You help us patch the holes in the firewall that Reed found. You learn ethical hacking, and you stay away from the dark web. Leo looked at me, his jaw dropping. Jess, can I? Please? I promise I won't hack the Pentagon. I looked at Noah. He wasn't doing this just to be nice. He was doing it to keep Leo close, to keep him under the pack's protection without making Leo feel like a prisoner. It was manipulative, brilliant, and incredibly kind. Fine, I sighed, but if his grades drop, I'm auditing your personal expense account again. Deal, Noah grinned. He checked his watch. Dante will take you home, Leo, to the penthouse. Mrs. Higgins is making lasagna. Lasagna? Leo grabbed his backpack. Awesome! Does Mrs. Higgins have more war stories? She told me she once stabbed a guy with a knitting needle. She has many stories, Noah said. Go. Leo ran out, high-fiving Dante on the way. The room fell quiet. The hum of the servers seemed to get louder. Noah turned to me. The playful, cool boss demeanor vanished, replaced by that intense, gold-flecked gaze that always made my breath hitch. He's safe, Noah said softly. The threat is neutralized. The council is subdued. Leo is employed. You fixed everything, I murmured, standing up. In 24 hours. I fixed the logistics. He stepped closer, trapping me between his body and the server rack. But I haven't fixed the craving. He reached out, his fingers tracing the line of my jaw. The moon is rising tomorrow night, Jessica. The full moon. Do you know what that means for a lichen? You howl at things? I guessed, my heart pounding. It means my control breaks, he murmured, leaning down until his lips brushed my ear. It means the human side steps back, and the wolf takes the wheel. And the wolf, he doesn't want to be your boss. He doesn't want to be your landlord. What does he want? He wants to claim his mate, Noah growled softly, fully, irrevocably. Are you ready for that? I looked at him. I thought about the man who bought a building to keep me safe, the man who stood between me and a cattle prod. I don't know, I admitted honestly, but I think I'm willing to find out. Chapter 22. The next day, the day of the full moon, was weird. Noah didn't come to the office. He stayed in the penthouse, apparently preparing. I, however, had to work. The world didn't stop just because my boyfriend, was having a lunar episode. So, Lola said, leaning over my desk with a bagel, tonight's the night, the big awoo. Please don't call it that, I groaned, sorting through invoices. And why is everyone acting like it's a national holiday? Dante is wearing sneakers. He never wears sneakers. Full moon energy, Lola explained, taking a bite of cream cheese. Everyone gets a little zoomy. The fidgets, aggression levels spike. It's like PMS, but with more teeth. Great. And Noah? For an alpha, it's worse, Lola lowered her voice. It's the rut, Jess, or close to it. His senses are dialed up to 11. If you smell like another man, he might eat the man. If you smell like him, well, good luck walking tomorrow. I choked on my coffee. Lola, I'm just saying, hydrate, stretch. My phone buzzed. A text from Noah. The boss. Where are you? Me. At my desk, working, like you pay me to. The boss. Come home, now. Me. It's 2 p.m. I have a conference call. The boss. I bought the phone company. Cancel the call. Come home. I stared at the screen. He bought the phone company? He probably did, Lola shrugged. He bought a satellite last week because he didn't like the reception in the elevator. Go, Jess, before he comes down here and drags you out over his shoulder. It's romantic in theory, but terrible for HR compliance. I grabbed my bag. I'm going, but if he growls at me, I'm putting him in a timeout. I took the elevator up to the penthouse. When the doors opened, the smell hit me. It wasn't just the usual pine and rain. It was heavy, musk, spice, and something smoky. It was overwhelming. Noah? I called out, stepping into the living room. The place was different. The furniture had been moved. The sleek, modern sofas were pushed together in the center of the room, and they were covered in blankets, pillows, my sweaters. Is that my cashmere cardigan? I asked, picking up a gray lump of fabric from the pile. Put it back, a deep voice rumbled from the shadows. Noah stepped out of the bedroom. He was wearing sweatpants and nothing else. His skin was flushed, his muscles tight, his hair was messy, and his eyes were glowing so bright they looked like flashlights. Are you building a fort? I asked, gesturing to the pile of soft things. It's a nest, he corrected, looking a little embarrassed but mostly defiant. The wolf wants soft things. He wants your scent, everywhere. He walked over to me. He didn't just walk, he stalked toward me with a predatory grace. He stopped inches away, inhaling sharply. You smell like the office, he complained, wrinkling his nose. Toner and Lola's bagel. I was working, Noah. No more work, he grunted. He reached out and pulled me into his arms. He was burning up. No more work, he grunted. He reached out and pulled me into his arms. He was burning up. No more work. Only this. Only us. He buried his face in my neck, inhaling deeply. Better, but not enough. What do you want? I whispered, running my hands down his hot, bare back. I need to mark you, he mumbled against my skin. I want everyone to know. The mailman, the doorman, the stars. Okay, I laughed nervously. Maybe we start with something smaller than the stars. He pulled back. He looked at me with a lucid, intense seriousness. I ordered steak, 10 pounds of it, and chocolate, and those spicy chips you like. You built a pillow fort and ordered snacks? I smiled, melting a little. Noah Michelson, are you trying to woo me? I am trying to keep you from running when the sun goes down, he admitted hoarsely, because tonight I will be a selfish, hungry animal. Good, I said, standing on my tippy toes to kiss his jaw, because gentlemen are boring. Chapter 23. We spent the afternoon in the nest. It was surprisingly comfortable. We watched bad movies on the massive TV while Noah worked his way through the platter of rare steaks like they were popcorn. But as the sun began to set, the atmosphere shifted. The playful, sleepy vibe evaporated. Noah became restless. He started pacing the perimeter of the penthouse, checking the locks, checking the windows. Every shadow made him growl low in his throat. "Noah, sit down," I said from the pile of pillows. "The window is fixed. Mrs. Higgins is downstairs with a shotgun. We're safe." "The moon is up," he whispered, staring out at the darkening sky. He turned to me. The transformation hadn't started physically, but it had started mentally. His movements were jerky, uncoordinated. "You should go to the guest room," he said, his voice strained. "Lock the door." "What? No, I'm staying here." "I can't control it much longer," he warned, gripping the back of a chair until the wood creaked. "When the shift hits, it's violent. It's painful. I don't want you to see it." "I saw it when you fought Reed," I reminded him, standing up. "It didn't scare me then, it won't scare me now." I walked over to him. He tried to back away, but he hit the wall. "Jess, please," he groaned, squeezing his eyes shut. Sweat beaded on his forehead. "Run." "No." I reached out and placed my hands on his chest. His heart was beating so fast it felt like a hummingbird's wings. Thump, 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 thump. Clause 1. The tenant stays. He opened his eyes. They were fully gold. No pupil, just light. "You are stubborn," he rasped. "I'm efficient." A spasm of pain hit him. He doubled over, a guttural roar tearing from his throat. "Noah!" I grabbed his shoulders to steady him. His bones cracked. It was a sickening sound, like dry branches snapping. His shoulders broadened, his spine lengthened. He fell to his knees, gasping. "Don't look," he choked out. I didn't look away. I knelt with him. I ran my hands over his back as the muscles shifted and reformed under the skin. It looked agonizing. "I'm here. I'm right here. Breathe through it." Fur began to ripple across his skin, midnight black, soft and thick. His hands slammed into the floor, claws gouging the expensive hardwood. His face contorted, the human features stretching, reshaping into the muzzle of the wolf's. It was terrifying. It was visceral. But he never stopped looking at me. Even as his jaw extended, even as the fangs dropped, his eyes stayed locked on mine, anchoring him. With a final, bone-shaking shudder, the shift was complete. Noah was gone. In his place stood a massive black wolf. He was the size of a pony, his shoulders reaching my chest even as he crouched. He huffed, steam rising from his nose. He shook his massive head, his ears twitching. Then he looked at me. I held my breath. The wolf took a step forward. He lowered his massive head and nudged my hand with his wet nose. I let out a shaky laugh. "Hi, boss!" He chuffed, a sound that vibrated my ribs. He moved closer, pressing his heavy body against mine, effectively pinning me to the floor. He licked my cheek, his tongue rough like sandpaper. He wasn't a monster. He was just Noah, without the suit, without the stress, just pure, unadulterated instinct. And his instinct was me. Chapter 24. The wolf didn't want to hunt. He wanted to cuddle. Aggressively. He herded me back to the nest of pillows and flopped down on top of me, his heavy head resting on my stomach. Every time I tried to move, he growled, a low, possessive rumble, and put a heavy paw on my leg to pin me down. Okay, I laughed, scratching behind his ears. "I'm not leaving. You are a very needy apex predator." We stayed like that for hours. The moonlight streamed through the windows, bathing the room in silver. It was peaceful. But as midnight approached, the wolf grew restless again. He stood up, pacing. Then he looked at me and whined, a high-pitched, yearning sound. He started to change back. The reverse shift was faster, but it looked just as painful. The fur receded. The bones snapped back into human alignment. Noah collapsed onto the pillows, gasping, naked and shivering. I grabbed the duvet and threw it over him. "Noah?" He rolled over, catching me in his arms before I could pull away. He dragged me under the duvet with him, his skin burning hot against mine. "Jess," he breathed, his voice raw. "You stayed. I told you I would." He opened his eyes. They were human again, dark, deep, and filled with a hunger that had nothing to do with food. "The wolf is satisfied," he whispered, his hand sliding up my ribcage to cut my face. "He knows you are ours. But the man—" He paused, his thumb brushing my lips. "The The man is starving. He finished. Then eat, I whispered recklessly. Noah didn't hesitate. He kissed me, and it was like lighting a match in a room full of gasoline. There was no hesitation, no gentleness. It was desperate. He flipped me onto my back, his body covering mine, his weight heavy and perfect. His hands were everywhere, tangling in my hair, gripping my waist, tracing the line of my spine. "You are so small," he groaned against my mouth, his hips snapping forward to press against me. "I need to be careful. I need to—" "Don't be careful," I gasped, wrapping my legs around him. "Be the wolf, Noah. I don't want the CEO right now." Something snapped in him. He tore the duvet away. He looked at me, his eyes flashing gold again for just a second. "Mine," he growled. He kissed his way down my throat, his teeth grazing my skin, leaving a trail of fire. When he reached this sensitive spot where my neck met my shoulder, he paused. He hovered there, his breath hot on my skin. "This is it, Jessica," he warned, his voice shaking with restraint. "If I mark you, if I claim you tonight, there is no going back, no resignation letters, no breaking the lease. You are mine until the stars burn out." I reached up and tangled my fingers in his messy dark hair. I pulled his head down. "I signed the contract, Noah," I whispered. "Clause 1, seal the deal." He groaned, a sound of pure worship, and sank his teeth gently into my skin. It didn't hurt. It felt like a bolt of lightning connecting us, soul to soul, a rush of emotions that weren't mine. Love, protection, adoration, need flooded my mind. I gasped, arching into him. "I love you," his voice echoed in my head, not spoken aloud, but felt. "I love you too," I whispered back. And then the Alpha King of New York finally, truly claimed his queen. Chapter 25. Sunlight hit my face, which was annoying because I was currently very comfortable being a human burrito wrapped in high thread count sheets and a massive sleeping werewolf. I tried to stretch, but a heavy arm tightened around my waist, pulling me back against a chest that felt like a radiator. "No," Noah grumbled, his voice thick with sleep. "Too early. Stay." "Noah, it's 9 a.m., I whispered, trying to untangle my legs from his. "We have a company to run, and I'm pretty sure Mrs. Higgins is downstairs judging our punctuality." "Mrs. Higgins can wait," he mumbled, nuzzling the back of my neck. "I'm the alpha. I declare today a holiday." "What holiday?" "National Stay in Bed with the Luna Day." I laughed, turning in his arms to face him. He looked different. The sharp, stress-etched lines around his eyes were gone. He looked younger, softer, and incredibly satisfied. "You're clingy in the morning," I noted, tracing his jawline. "I'm possessive," he corrected, opening one eye. It was dark, but the gold ring around the pupil was vibrant. There's a difference. Clingy is weak. Possessive is territorial. He sat up, the sheet falling to his waist, a view I decided to take a mental screenshot of for later. He looked at me, his gaze dropping instantly to the spot where my neck met my shoulder. A slow, smug grin spread across his face. "What?" I touched the spot. It was tender. "Go look in the mirror," he said, looking like the cat who not only got the cream but bought the dairy farm. I grabbed a robe and walked to the ensuite bathroom. I looked in the mirror. There, right above my collarbone, was a mark. It wasn't a bruise. It looked like a faint silver scar in the shape of a crescent moon, interwoven with what looked like teeth marks, but elegant teeth marks. "Oh my God," I whispered, touching it. "Noah, I have a hickey, a permanent magical hickey." Noah appeared behind me in the mirror, wrapping his arms around my waist, resting his chin on my shoulder, staring at the mark with reverence. "It's the mating mark," he purred. "It tells the world you are mine. It protects you. If any wolf tries to harm you, the mark will flare. I will know instantly." "It's very visible," I noted, trying to pull the collar of the robe up. "How am I supposed to wear a blazer or a scoop neck?" "You wear it proudly," he kissed the spot. "Or you wear my shirts. I prefer this second option." I can't wear your shirt to a board meeting, Noah. I'll look like I'm doing the walk of shame. It's not a walk of shame, he growled, spinning me around. It's a victory lap. Now, come back to bed. I need to recharge my dominance. Recharge your dominance? I raised an eyebrow. Is that what we're calling it? Unless you want to call it cuddling, he scowled. Cuddling it is. Chapter 26. We made it to the office by noon. I wore a turtleneck. It was June. The AC was blasting, but I was sweating. You look suspicious, Lola whispered as I walked past her desk. Why are you wearing wool in summer? Are you hiding a crime? Did you kill him? He's alive, I muttered, heading for my desk. Just cold. You're not cold. You're blushing. Lola narrowed her eyes. She sniffed the air, then she gasped, dropping her stapler. Oh my God, Lola squealed. He bit you. He actually did it. Shh, I hissed, looking around. Keep it down. Dante! Lola stood up and yelled across the bullpen. Pay up. The eagle has landed. I repeat, the eagle has been bitten. Dante popped his head out of the security office, grinning. Full claim or just a nibble? Full claim, Lola sniffed again. She smells like sandalwood and do not touch. It's pungent. I put my head on my desk. I hate this place. I hate all of you. The double doors to Noah's office opened. Noah stood there, looking impeccable in a navy suit, radiating power. Lola, Noah barked, stop sniffing my mate. It's rude. Sorry, boss. Lola sat down, typing furiously, probably updating the betting pool spreadsheet. Noah walked over to my desk. He didn't stop at the edge. He walked around it, pulled my chair out, and crouched down next to me. Are you okay? He asked softly, ignoring the 50 people watching us. Everyone knows, I whispered. Lola is broadcasting it on the company's Slack channel. Let them know. Noah stood up, resting a hand on my shoulder. He looked out at the office. Attention, Noah said. He didn't shout, but his voice carried to the back of the room. Every head snapped up. Jessica Banks is no longer my executive assistant. She is now the chief operating officer of Michelson Enterprises, and she is the Luna of this pack. You will treat her with the same respect you treat me. Actually, more respect, because she controls the payroll. There was a beat of silence, then a collective shuffling of chairs as people stood up. Hail the Luna, the receptionist murmured. Hail the Luna, the IT guys echoed. Okay, this is weird. I stood up. Please sit down. Nobody hail me. I'm just Jess, and if you don't submit your expense reports by Friday, I will reject them. That is the only power I care about. Noah laughed, leaning down to kiss my temple. They adore you. They fear the audit, I corrected. Now go to your office, Noah. You have a call with Tokyo in 10 minutes, and I need to figure out how to get Lola to delete that Slack thread. I'll handle Tokyo, Noah said, walking to his door. He paused, looking back at me with a smirk. But Jess, lose the turtleneck tomorrow. I want them to see the mark. Go! I threw a pen at him. He caught it without looking and closed the door. Chapter 27. The real test of the new normal wasn't the office. It was the family dinner. We hosted it at the penthouse on Saturday night. The guest list was eclectic. Noah, me, Leo, Mrs. Higgins, Dante, and Nana Rose. I was terrified. Nana, please behave, I whispered as I helped her out of the car. Noah is very sensitive about his condition. His condition? Nana tapped her cane on the sidewalk. You mean the wolf thing? Honey, I lived through the 70s. I've dated hairier men than him. We went up. The penthouse smelled like roast chicken and anxiety. When the elevator opened, Noah was standing there in a dress shirt holding a bouquet of flowers that was larger than Nana Rose. Welcome, madam. Noah bowed slightly. Nana squinted at him through her thick glasses. She walked right up to him and poked his bicep with a bony finger. Solid, she noted. Good teeth. You feed my granddaughter well? I try, madam, Noah said nervously, but she mostly eats salads and anxiety. She gets that from her father. Nana walked past him into the living room where Mrs. Higgins was setting the table. I held my breath. Mrs. Higgins was a retired alpha female who scared mercenaries. Nana Rose was a retired librarian who scared bus drivers. It was a clash of titans. Mrs. Higgins looked up. She eyed Nana's cane. Nana eyed Mrs. Higgins' knitting needles, which were sharpened to lethal points. "That's a nice stitch," Nana said, pointing at the scarf Mrs. Higgins was making. "Cable knit?" "Double moss stitch," Mrs. Higgins corrected. "It holds tension better. Good for garroting." Nana smiled. It was a terrifying smile. "I like her. She has utility." Dinner was surprisingly peaceful, mostly because Leo kept asking Dante about spy gadgets. "So the black SUV, does it have an ejector seat?" "No," Dante sighed, "but it has run-flat tires and a signal jammer." "Can I see it?" "Eat your peas, Leo," I ordered. "So, Noah," Nana Rose said, suddenly, cutting through the chatter, "when are you buying the ring?" Noah choked on his water. "Madam? You marked her." Nana pointed her fork at the scarf I was wearing to hide the mark. "Don't think I can't see it. My eyes are bad, but my instincts are fine. You claimed her. So when do you make it legal in the eyes of the Lord and the IRS?" Noah looked at me. He looked terrified, not because he didn't want to marry me, but because he thought I wasn't ready. We haven't discussed the next steps," Noah stammered. "I want Jessica to have time to adjust." "To adjust to what?" Nana scoffed. "You live together, you work together, you turn into a dog together. What's to adjust?" "He turns into a wolf, Nana," I corrected. "Same difference. They both shed." Nana looked Noah dead in the eye. "You make an honest woman out of her, wolf boy, or I take my cane to your shins. Capiche?" Noah smiled. It was genuine. "Capiche, madam. I intend to make her a Michelson as soon as she lets me." "Good. Now tell me more about this garroting stitch. My neighbor plays his trumpet at 2 a.m. I need solutions." Chapter 28. A month later, we had our first public outing, the annual Tech Gala. It was a black tie event at the Met. Everyone who was anyone in the tech world was there, including the sharks who had been circling Michelson Enterprises since the rumors of Noah's sabbatical, aka the Wolfsbane recovery, started. I wore a dress made of midnight blue silk that Noah had picked out. It was backless, sleeveless, and completely exposed the mark on my neck. "Are you sure about this?" I asked in the limo, touching the silver scar. "Let them look," Noah said, lacing his fingers through mine. "It keeps the rivals away." We walked the red carpet. The flashbulbs were blinding. Inside, the atmosphere was thick with money and judgment. We hadn't been there 5 minutes before a woman approached us. It was Serena Vance, no relation to Dante. She was the CEO of a rival software firm, and she had been trying to buy Noah's company for years. She was beautiful, sharp, and mean. "Noah," Serena purred, ignoring me completely. "I heard you were ill. You look surprisingly robust." "I'm fine, Serena," Noah said coldly. "And who's this?" Serena finally looked at me, her eyes raking over my dress. "The help?" Noah's hand tightened on my waist. I felt the growl building in his chest. "I'm the CFO," I lied smoothly, stepping forward. I was technically the chief of operations now, but CFO sounded scarier. "CFO?" Serena laughed. "Since when? Last I checked, you were fetching coffee." "And last I checked, Serena," I smiled, "your Q2 earnings report showed a 15% loss in liquidity due to failed R&D investments, specifically that AI project that, what was it, hallucinated and started sending limericks to your investors?" Serena's smile faltered. She looked at Noah. "How do you know that?" I read the footnotes. I stepped closer. "And if you try to hostile take over our stock again, I'll release a comparative analysis of our operating costs versus yours. Spoiler alert, Noah spends money on security. You spend it on lawsuits." Serena turned pale. She looked at Noah. "She's sharp," Serena stammered. "She's the Luna," Noah said simply, baring his teeth in a smile that was all wolf. "Run along, Serena, before she audits you." Serena practically ran away. Noah laughed, pulling me into a corner. "You are terrifying," he whispered, kissing me. "I love it." "She insulted the company," I shrugged. "I couldn't let it slide." She insulted you, Noah corrected, and you destroyed her without raising your voice. He reached into his tuxedo pocket. I was going to wait for a romantic dinner or a trip to Paris, but watching you eviscerate a CEO, I can't wait. He dropped to one knee. The room went silent. The music seemed to stop. Noah? I breathed. He pulled out a ring. It wasn't a traditional diamond. It was a black opal, swirling with blue and green fire, set in white gold that looked like twisted vines. Jessica Banks, Noah said, his voice ringing clear and proud. You saved my life. You saved my company. You saved my soul. Will you make me the luckiest alpha in existence and marry me? I looked at the ring. I looked at the man, the monster, the billionaire, the love of my life. Yes, I whispered, but clause 2 applies, which is, you still have to drink decaf after 4 p.m. Deal, he grinned, sliding the ring onto my finger. He stood up and kissed me, and the room erupted in applause. Somewhere in the back, I heard Dante yell, I won the pool! It was perfect. It was chaotic. It was us. Chapter 29. The ride back to the penthouse was the longest 20 minutes of my life. The privacy partition in the limo was up, but Dante was driving, which meant he was definitely listening and probably taking notes for the betting pool. Noah, I whispered, fanning myself. Stop looking at me like that. We're in a moving vehicle. Noah sat across from me, his long legs stretched out, his tuxedo jacket discarded on the seat. He had loosened his tie, and the top buttons of his shirt were undone, revealing the hollow of his throat. He looked rakish, undone, and devastatingly hungry. I'm looking at my fiancé, he rumbled, testing the word like it was a fine wine. My wife-to-be. The woman who just verbally dismantled a rival CEO in front of the entire tech industry. She deserved it, I muttered, looking out the window at the blurring city lights. She called me the help. And you proved you were the queen. Noah reached across the gap, gripping my ankle and pulling me gently toward him. It was intoxicating. Everything turns you on, Noah. I organized the filing cabinet last week and you growled. Efficiency is sexy. He smirked, his thumb tracing circles on my ankle bone. But watching you defend the pack, defend me, that hits the wolf right in the chest. He pulled harder, and I slid off my seat, landing in his lap, a tangle of silk and tuxedo wool. Dante is driving, I reminded him, though I wrapped my arms around him. Dante is paid to be deaf, Noah growled, burying his face in the crook of my neck, right over the mark. He kissed it. A hot, open-mouthed brand that sent shivers down my spine. We're home, Dante's voice came over the intercom, sounding thoroughly amused. And for the record, I'm not deaf, just highly professional. You have 3 minutes before I park, boss. Noah groaned against my skin. I'm going to fire him. You can't fire him. He's the only one who knows how to order your protein powder. The car stopped, the door opened. Noah didn't wait. He climbed out, pulling me with him, and practically carried me into the private elevator. Penthouse, he commanded the smart system. Express mode. The elevator shot up. Noah, I gasped as he pinned me against the mirrored wall. We haven't even had champagne. I don't want champagne, he said, capturing my lips in a kiss that tasted of obsession and promise. I want to celebrate, properly. The doors opened. He scooped me up into his arms, bridal style. Welcome home, future Mrs. Michelson, he whispered. I'm keeping my last name, Banks. It sounds fiscally responsible. Keep whatever you want. He kicked the bedroom door open, as long as you keep me. Chapter 30. The bedroom was dark, lit only by the city lights filtering through the floor-to-ceiling windows. Noah set me down on the edge of the massive bed. He stood between my legs, his hands resting heavy on my thighs. The playful banter from the car was gone, replaced by a thick, heavy tension. The wolf was close to the surface. I could see it in the way his pupils dilated, swallowing the iris until his eyes were almost entirely black pools. I could feel the heat radiating off him, a furnace stoked by adrenaline and possessiveness. The ring fits, he murmured, lifting my hand to inspect the black opal sparkling on my finger. It's beautiful. But Noah, are you sure? A human Luna? The council bowed, but the council bowed because they had no choice. He cut me off, leaning down. I chose you because I had no choice. From the moment you walked into my office 3 years ago with that ridiculous oversized blazer and a latte, my wolf knew. 3 years? I blinked. You knew for 3 years? I knew you were important, he admitted, his voice rough. I didn't know what you were until the Decaf incident, until you challenged me. An Omega submits, a Beta negotiates. Only a Luna challenges an Alpha to his face. He kissed my palm, sending a jolt of electricity straight to my heart. You are my equal, Jessica, in every way that matters. He stepped back and slowly unbuttoned his shirt. He let it fall to the floor. Then he reached for my zipper. May I? He asked, his voice shaking with restraint. Yes, I breathed. The dress pooled at my seat. What followed wasn't just physical, it was a conversation without words. It was Noah worshipping every inch of me, his hands mapping my body like it was his territory. It was the rough scrape of his stubble against my soft skin, the weight of his body pressing me into the mattress, grounding me. Mine, he growled against my mouth, the word vibrating through both of us. Yours, I answered, wrapping my legs around him. When we finally came together, the connection was blinding. The mate bond already woven between us pulled tight, a golden thread solidifying into steel. I could feel his love, his overwhelming relief that I was safe, that I was his. And he could feel mine, my trust, my fierce loyalty to this strange, wonderful monster. It was intense, it was messy, it was perfect. Later, lying in the tangle of sheets, Noah pulled me against his chest. His heart was slowing down, thumping a steady rhythm under my ear. You realize, he murmured sleepily, that we have to plan a wedding now. Nana Rose is going to have opinions. I groaned, hiding my face in his chest. Can we elope? Just go to Vegas? An Elvis impersonator would be less stressful than my grandmother. No, Noah kissed the top of my head. You deserve a coronation. Besides, I think Mrs. Higgins has already booked the cathedral. She moves fast. I'm scared of Mrs. Higgins, I admitted. Me too, babe. Me too. Chapter 31. 3 months later. The wedding planning war room was set up in the main conference room of Michelson Enterprises. On one side of the table, Nana Rose. She was armed with a binder of clippings from Bridal Weekly, circa 1995, and her cane. On the other side, Mrs. Higgins. She was armed with a spreadsheet of pack traditions and a letter opener she was using to aggressively slice a bagel. In the middle, me. Tired, caffeinated, regretting everything. The flowers must be white lilies, Nana Rose declared, slamming her hand on the table. It signifies purity, and they smell like a funeral, which keeps the guests somber. Lilies are toxic to wolves, Mrs. Higgins countered, not looking up from her list. If the ring bearer eats a petal, he will vomit on the altar. We are using moonflowers. They glow in the dark. Glow in the dark? Nana squinted. Is this a wedding or a rave? It is a nocturnal ceremony, Mrs. Higgins said. The pack tradition dictates we exchange vows under the moon. My granddaughter is not getting married in the dark like a raccoon, Nana shouted. Noon, high noon, with a choir. Noon is unacceptable, Mrs. Higgins snarled, literally snarled. The alpha is sensitive to UV rays during the bonding cycle. Ladies, I yelled, standing up, stop. They both looked at me. We are compromising, I announced, channeling my inner CEO. The ceremony will be at sunset. It's romantic, the lighting is good for photos, and nobody melts or gets blinded. Agreed? Nana grumbled. Fine, but I want a choir. Mrs. Higgins, I turned to the HR director, can the pack provide a choir? We can howl, harmonized howling. It's very moving. We'll hire a string quartet, I decided quickly. Next item, the ring bearer. Teddy, Noah said, walking into the room. He was holding a coffee cup, decaf, sadly, and looking way too amused by the chaos. The dog? Nana asked. You want a dog to carry the rings? He'll swallow them. Teddy is a good boy, Noah defended, sitting next to me and taking my hand. He has been training. Dante has him doing drills. Drills? I asked. Noah, he's a golden retriever, not a Navy SEAL. He can balance a treat on his nose for 30 seconds, Noah said proudly. He's ready. Fine, Nana waved her hand. The dog can come, but if he pees on my dress, I'm sending the cleaning bill to the wolf man. Accepted, Noah grinned. He leaned over to whisper in my ear. Are they almost done? I need to show you something upstairs. Are you trying to get me out of my own wedding planning meeting? I'm trying to save you, he kissed my cheek. Leo just finished the beta test for the new security grid. You need to see it. Leo is actually working? I smiled. I thought he was just playing Minecraft in the server room. He's doing both, admitted Noah. Come on, escape with me. I looked at Nana Rose, who was currently arguing with Mrs. Higgins about the tensile strength of Tool. Run, I whispered to Noah. Run now. Chapter 32. The wedding day arrived with a forecast of clear skies and mild panic. The venue was a private estate in upstate New York that Noah owned, because of course he did. It was a sprawling garden surrounded by deep, ancient woods, the perfect compromise between civilized wedding and wild wolf ritual. I stood in the bridal suite, staring at myself in the mirror. The dress was sleek, modern, and elegant, silk crepe with a low back that showed off the mark. I wore the moon pendant Noah had given me. You look okay, Lola said, standing behind me in a bridesmaid's dress that she had surprisingly agreed to wear without complaint. I mean, you look stunning, but mostly you look calm. Are you medicated? I'm happy, I realized, turning to her. Lola, I'm actually happy. I'm marrying a billionaire werewolf who thinks I hung the moon. Why wouldn't I be happy? Because his family eats deer? Lola suggested. But hey, love is love. The door opened. Leo walked in, looking uncomfortable in a tuxedo. It chokes me, Leo complained, pulling at his collar. Why do we have to wear these? Hoodies are formal if they're black. You look handsome, Leo. I smoothed his lapel. Ready to walk me down the aisle? Leo stopped fidgeting. He looked at me, his eyes suddenly watery. Yeah, Jess, I'm ready. You know, even though they're gone, Mom and Dad would be really proud. You kept us afloat. You did good. I teared up instantly. Don't make me cry. I spent an hour on this eyeliner. We walked out to the garden. The string quartet, Human, was playing softly. The guests were seated, humans on the left, with Nana Rose holding court in the front row, wolves on the right, with Mrs. Higgins glaring at anyone who slouched. At the end of the aisle stood Noah. He took my breath away. He wasn't wearing a suit. He was wearing formal pack attire, a dark, tailored tunic with silver embroidery that looked regal and ancient. He looked like a king. When he saw me, he stopped breathing. I saw his chest heave. I saw his eyes flash gold, visible even from 50 feet away. He looks like he wants to eat you, Leo whispered as we walked. In a romantic way, I guess. We reached the altar. Leo handed my hand to Noah. He gripped my fingers tight. His hand was trembling slightly. Hi, I whispered. Hi, he rumbled. You look lethal. Is that a compliment? The highest one I have. The ceremony was short. We exchanged vows. Mine were about patience and coffee. His were about protection and eternity. The rings? The officiant asked. Dante whistled. From the back of the aisle, Teddy bounded forward. He was wearing a little tuxedo vest with a pillow strapped to his back. He didn't run. He trotted with immense dignity, ignoring the squirrels in the trees. He stopped right in front of us and sat. Good boy, Noah praised, untying the rings. We exchanged the bands. I now pronounce you Alpha and Luna, the officiant said. We changed the script. You may kiss the bride. Noah didn't wait. He grabbed my face and kissed me with a passion that made the human guests cheer, and the wolf guests let out a collective joyous howl that echoed through the forest. I kissed him back, ignoring the howling, ignoring the chaos. I love you, boss, I whispered against his lips. I love you, Jess. Now, let's go cut the cake. I'm starving. You're always starving, I laughed. Only for you, and maybe cake. Chapter 33. The reception was, in a word, wild. I had expected a stiff, formal dinner. What I got was a cross between a rave and a family reunion. On the dance floor, Mrs. Higgins was teaching Nana Rose how to do the pack stomp, a traditional folk dance that involved a lot of rhythmic shouting. Nana, surprisingly, was nailing it, waving her cane in the air like a baton. "Your grandmother has excellent rhythm," Dante noted, handing me a glass of champagne. And she terrified the DJ into playing Frank Sinatra. She threatened to unplug his turntables. "That sounds like her," I laughed, scanning the room. "Where is my husband?" "Husband," Dante grinned. "Still sounds weird." "Where is the alpha?" I corrected. "He's in the corner, growling at the caterer because they ran out of tartare." I sighed and picked up my skirts, marching over to the buffet table. Noah was indeed looming over a terrified waiter. "I paid for a carnivore's feast," Noah was saying, his voice low and dangerous. "My pack burns 5,000 calories a day. Do not offer me mini quiches when I explicitly requested half a cow." "Noah," I said, sliding my arm through his, "leave the waiter alone. The football team from your security detail ate the sliders earlier. That's why we're low on beef." Noah looked down at me. The anger vanished instantly, replaced with a soft, goofy smile that he only ever showed to me. "That dog has no discipline," Noah grumbled, though he leaned down to kiss my forehead. "Are you hungry? I can go hunt something. There are deer in these woods." "Please do not hunt the local wildlife at our wedding," I scolded. "Eat a quiche. They're spinach and feta." He looked at the tiny quiche with disdain, then popped it into his mouth. "Acceptable," he chewed, "but only because you asked." "Come dance with me." I pulled him toward the floor. "They're playing our song." "Our song is Eye of the Tiger?" "No, that's Lola's song." I pointed to where Lola and Leo were aggressively karaoke singing into a spoon. "The next one, At Last." We moved to the center of the floor. Noah wrapped his arms around me, burying his face in my neck. We swayed to the music, surrounded by the people we loved. "You know," Noah murmured against my skin, "I was thinking about the merger." "Noah, we are at our wedding reception. Stop thinking about business." "Not that merger," he chuckled, the sound rumbling against my chest. "The merger of our assets. I was calculating that we should expand the portfolio." "Expand how?" "I bought an island," he said casually, "in Fiji for the honeymoon. It has no Wi-Fi, no cell service, just a beach and a house." "You bought an island?" I pulled back to look at him. "Noah, we talked about big purchases. It was a distressed asset, a steal, really, and I needed to make sure no one could reach us. For 2 weeks, Jessica, you are going to be unconnected. No audits, no emails, just me." 2 weeks without spreadsheets? I teased. "I might go into withdrawal." "I'll distract you," he promised, his eyes darkening. "I have plans." "Do these plans involve sleeping?" "Absolutely not." Chapter 34. The Honeymoon. Noah was right. Fiji was beautiful. The water was turquoise, the sand was white, and the villa was luxurious. But Noah was wrong about one thing. We were terrible at relaxing. By day 3, the digital detox was driving us both insane. I found Noah pacing the beach, drawing complex diagrams in the sand with a stick. "What are you doing?" I asked, sipping a coconut. "Redesigning the pack's logistical supply chain," he muttered, adding another line to his sand chart. "If we route the shipments through Jersey instead of the Bronx, we save 12% on fuel." "Noah, you're supposed to be swimming." "I swam. I swam around the entire island. It took 40 minutes. Now I'm bored." I sighed. "Me too. I audited the villa's kitchen inventory this morning. They are wasting way too much pineapple." Noah laughed, dropping the stick. He walked over to me, salt water dripping from his hair, looking like a swimsuit model who happened to be a genius billionaire. "We are broken," he said, pulling me into his arms. "We don't know how to be normal." "We are workaholics," I agreed. "It's our love language." "Okay," Noah said. "New plan. We can work, but only for 2 hours a day. The rest of the time..." He picked me up, throwing me over his shoulder like a sack of potatoes. "Noah, put me down." "The rest of the time is physical training," he declared, marching toward the ocean. "I'm gonna teach you how to hold your breath underwater." "I don't want to hold my breath. I want to..." He jumped into the waves with me. We surfaced, sputtering and laughing. Noah pulled me close, the water swirling around us. "You realize," he said, pushing wet hair out of my face, "that this is the happiest I've ever been, even without the Wi-Fi?" "Me too," I whispered, wrapping my legs around his waist to stay afloat. "I love you, Jess," he said, his gold eyes shining brighter than the tropical sun. "And when we get back, I think I'm going to promote you." "Oh? To what?" "Co-CEO," he said seriously. "I want your name on the door, Michelson and Banks." "Really?" I teared up. "You'd share the throne?" "It's not my throne." He kissed me salty and sweet. "It's ours. Besides, you're the only one who understands the tax code." "True," I sniffed. "You'd be in jail without me." "Exactly. Now kiss me before a shark comes." "There are sharks?" "I'm the biggest shark here, baby. You're safe." Chapter 35. Epilogue 1. 1 year later. The morning started like any other Tuesday. I woke up, got dressed, and went to the kitchen to make coffee. But the smell of the French roast made me gag. I dropped the bag of beans, rushing to the sink to dry heave. "Jess?" Noah was there instantly. He moved with that blurring speed, catching me before I could slide to the floor. "What is it? Are you sick? Did someone poison the water supply? I'll kill them." "No one poisoned the water," I groaned, leaning against him. "It's just the coffee. It smells awful." Noah froze. He went completely still. He leaned in, inhaling deeply near my neck. He sniffed my hair. He sniffed my shoulder. Then he pressed his nose against my stomach. His breath hitched. "Noah?" I asked, pulling back. "Why are you sniffing my belly button?" He looked up at me. His eyes were wide, filled with a terrifying amount of moisture. "Two," he whispered. "Two what?" "Two heartbeats," he choked out. "Inside. My ears are better than the biometric scanners, Jess. There's a second heartbeat. It's tiny, but it's strong." I stared at him. Are you sure? Is this a wolf thing?" "It's an alpha thing." He stood up, his hands shaking as he cupped my face. "You're pregnant. We're going to have a pup." "A baby," I corrected, my hand flying to my stomach. "Oh my God, a baby." Then the irony hit me. I looked at the coffee machine. "Noah," I whispered, "I can't drink caffeine." "What?" "If I'm pregnant, I have to give up my morning latte. I have to drink decaf." Noah stared at me. Then he stared at the coffee pot. A slow, hysterical laugh bubbled up in his chest. "It comes full circle," he wheezed. "You served me decaf to start this war, and now you are doomed to drink it for 9 months. "It's karma," I groaned, burying my face in his chest. "I'm going to be so tired." "I'll carry you," he promised, lifting me up. "I'll carry you everywhere. You are never walking again. Clause 88, the pregnant Luna floats." "Put me down, you lunatic." "Never." He kissed me, spinning me around the kitchen. "We're having a baby. I have to call Mrs. Higgins. We need to knit tiny Kevlar vests. Onesies, Noah. They're called onesies." Chapter 36. Epilogue 2. 5 years later. The office of Michelson and Banks was buzzing with activity. I sat at my desk, which was now next to Noah's in the renovated executive suite, reviewing the Q4 projections. "Mommy!" A small tornado burst through the double doors. Liam, our 4-year-old son, ran in. He was wearing a tiny suit that matched Noah's and a pair of neon green sneakers. He had my hair and Noah's eyes that flashed gold when he was excited. "Liam," I caught him as he tried to climb my desk. "What did I say about running in the hallway?" "But Teddy stole my tablet," Liam shouted. Teddy, now a very distinguished senior dog with a gray muzzle, trotted in behind him. He dropped the tablet at Noah's feet and barked once. "Good boy," Noah praised, not looking up from his computer, saving the youth from screen time. "Daddy," Liam complained. Noah spun his chair around. He looked older, a few gray hairs in his beard, but happier. So much happier. "Come here, little wolf," Noah said, opening his arms. Liam scrambled into Noah's lap. "Can we go to the park?" Uncle Leo said he'd show me how to fly his drone. Uncle Leo is supposed to be fixing the server, I said, checking my watch. Uncle Leo is in the break room eating donuts with Aunt Lola. They were kissing. He ratted them out immediately. Noah laughed, a deep rumble that filled the room. He looked at me over Liam's head. We should go. It's 4 p.m. So? Clause 5, he reminded me. The Alpha King craves his family more than his work. That's a new clause, I smiled, closing my laptop. I amended the contract. He stood up, holding Liam in one arm and reaching for my hand with the other. Let's go home, Jess. I'll make you coffee. Decaf? I asked, grabbing my purse. Full calf, he promised, kissing my knuckles. You're done nursing. You get the good stuff. Thank God. We walked out of the office together. The alpha, the accountant, the pup, and the dog. The staff waved as we passed, not with fear, but with genuine smiles. I looked at Noah. He wasn't the lonely, angry king I had met 5 years ago. He was whole. He caught me looking. What? Nothing, I squeezed his hand. I just really love my job. Good, Noah winked, his gold eyes shining, because the benefits are forever. The end.